My life and political thoughts as a tarot reader who thinks YouTube wants to know what the hell I'm thinking. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anti-Case Tarot. Today's discussion is resolution is abolition. All right, let's get into it. An abolitionist relationship isn't about who is right and wrong, it's about resolution. Relationships are about service to each other and a journey of growth together, be this friends, family, or partners. In a relationship, we have to learn how the other person communicates, what the other person wants and needs and desires are. We also need to learn these things about ourselves. Those of us who have grown up in Western civilization, and I would say nuclear families, have been raised to be selfish and independent, except that our human instinct is to not be alone, and these things all come into conflict with each other in our relationships. If you are in a relationship with a damaged partner, you probably also are a damaged partner. The empath did not attract the narcissist because the empath is healthy, and there are most definitely toxic empaths out there. If you have a partner who pulls away and is afraid of commitment, chances are you are somebody who's needy and clingy and says you don't need anything, but then you actually have a whole bunch of needs. You're just not expressing them, and you're very disappointed when they aren't met. If your partner never gives you what you want, you have either never learned to recognize love because you weren't given enough of it, if any of it at all, or it wasn't safe for you to ask for help, and so you didn't learn how to do it. That, or all your needs were always given to you, and so you just never needed to learn how to ask. You can try and figure out who is the bad guy, and the thing is, it's neither of you. You just are both in need of some growth together, and each other's opposites might be kind of good for each other sometimes. You can give a little bit of each other's needs, be what the other one needs to learn and journey and find some balance. I don't want you to compromise in a relationship. That is not consensus. Consensus is not a tug of war. Consensus is not about trying to convince the wrong side to all come over to the correct side. Consensus is not about right and wrong. That is not how to find a resolution in a relationship and in consensus. A good friend of mine, some self-made family, and I once had a falling out. And we were both hurt. And at first we blamed each other. Eventually, we listened to each other. We heard each other. We asked questions that were about understanding the other instead of asking questions to reinforce validation of our own goodness and correctness in the situation. Resolution is not about right and wrong. Abolition is about a solution. It is about resolution. Good and evil is something to reserve for people who make decisions about bombing babies and imprisoning hordes of people and leaving children hungry. This is where we leave the question of good and evil, right and wrong. The rest of us are up against all of this. We aren't usually the bad guys. We are harmed and we are harmed in very unequal and different ways from each other. And we need to find a resolution to that also acknowledges we're harmed in different ways. And how to create new patterns when old ones aren't working. Resolution is not black and white. It is not fixed at the end of a specific conversation or outcome. Resolution is about figuring out how to function together as humans. Resolution should be organic and ongoing because you and those you're in relationship with, especially in a partnership, are going to grow together. That resolution that you found will not fit forever. You will both grow out of it if you are doing this correctly. And you're not the one they fell in love with either. That is different. That is different than the other side of that. Falling in love with somebody for the potential of who they will become. Okay? You can fall in love with somebody for the journey they have chosen. You know, if your partner has a goal, you can support their goal and be in love with the person who's chosen that goal. But then it's different than being in love with a person who has succeeded at that goal. Your relationship is the journey there, and whatever new journey comes after that goal. Since you're both going to keep changing with each other, try and do it together in a good way. And if one of you doesn't want to, then there's not much you can do about that. We've really been sold this idea that one of us is right and one of us is wrong. And that is always a story. If you are hurt, then the other person is the bad guy, and this is just not always true. They might have done something hurtful. That absolutely happens. But you might have too. And usually that is also what happens. Maybe you think you did nothing and you kept it all to yourself. I didn't lash out, and I stayed really composed. But what your partner feels is, you withdrew, you gave me the silent treatment, you didn't even let me know what was going on, and their experience of you might even be passive aggression. Find a partner who is already somebody you want to spend time with. Now that you found someone you want to spend time with, you and this person need to agree that you want to figure each other out together, and you want to figure out yourselves together. This needs to be different than you're going to change them and fix them. The truth is, life is going to happen, and it's going to break one of you, maybe even both of you. And if you have decided you're going to work together and grow together and be of service together and figure out life together, then you're going to get through that. The two of you are going to figure out how to work together and how to work together with other people, because there might already be children or there might become children. And there's probably other family members there, and there's going to be friends. If you have a healthy relationship, you're going to be building friends together as well. So figuring out how to work together is important, not just between the two of you, but with others as well, because a healthy relationship includes more than just two people. Which is another aspect of resolution, is abolition. A relationship is a part of a community. Other people are always involved, be that organizing, be that children, be that friends, be that parents. If it's a tighter, like beyond nuclear family, other people are going to be involved. And expecting that you're just going to solve it privately isn't always best. Like, have people help you find resolution to some of the tough, bigger problems, and also to the small, ongoing, seemingly difficult to resolve problems. You're going to have to figure out if you're compatible. And compatible means values, ethics, worldviews, spirituality. Do you both want kids? Stuff like that. This is all what compatible with is. This is different than having the same interests. It's nice to like doing something that the other person likes to do also. That can be really good to share a few of your interests. But that's not necessarily compatibility, because our interests change in life. chances are at some point you were really into Barbies or Cabbage Patch Kids. If you're my age, you're probably, maybe you're not my age, but you had interests as children. Hot Wheels, Lego, most of them are going to get grown out of at some point. And this is true of adult interests. Things you were really into at 20, you might be into at 40, you might not. You don't know. It's going to change. You're going to pick up new interests along the way and lose some of them too. If we believe in abolition, we don't believe in cops and prisons, then we believe that the average human has redeemable qualities and is just flawed and is reacting within a harmful system. But that underneath it, we all want to be heroes and learn our lesson and gain a moral understanding so that we can overcome the monsters and protect those we care about, support those we care about, teach those we care about, provide for those we care about, and guide those we care about. Got a hold of that for a moment. Okay. As a tarot reader, I tell stories within the hero's journey all the time. And there are some bad players in the deck. But the majority of them are just other flawed main characters, interacting with us, friends and families and lovers. It is true, somebody can turn down the hero's journey. Someone can play their cards in reverse. And that's why we need to have these conversations with people in these different relationships that we're in, where we're asking them, do you believe in resolution? Are you on a hero's journey? Do you think maybe a bit of teamwork can make the dream work on this hero's journey together? So this means you're on this hero's journey too, which means you also have some pitfalls you're going to go through in this journey. What are you ready to give up and sacrifice? Are you ready for this person beside you to see you challenged and completely vulnerable, in chains at the feet of the devil, in despair at the 5 of Cups, compromising morals for survival in the 5 of Swords? Are you ready for this person to question if that's how you want to do this? Are you ready to consider and see and hear and be made to feel the way these choices will impact others you care about? Because you were probably raised to be pretty self-centered, and this isn't going to be easy for you. It's going to be hard to accept that sometimes you're both making mistakes. It's going to be hard to accept that when they did something really hurtful, your response was not okay, and it was really hurtful, and you do that response every time, whether what they did was big or small or imagined. Are you ready to take a journey of self-awareness and do it naked in front of someone else? Because that's how it will feel when you're going to have a relationship based on abolition. Are you ready to be responsible? It is about freedom, and freedom comes with responsibility to people around you. And anarchy only works if you're ready to be responsible. And to be responsible means, are you ready to be held accountable, but not in blame or with punitive intention? I frequently tell people in my community, your traumas are not unique. As Indigenous people, we got traumas coming at us left, right, and center. Multiple traumas is not unique. Having physical trauma and spiritual trauma and emotional trauma, all of them traumas all together, is not unique in my people's community. There are other world Indigenous communities who know this also. There are a lot of marginalized communities where the traumas are not unique amongst them and their kin. Queer communities are a great example. You have a whole bunch of people told to feel shame about their love and sex and their bodies, all trying to find love together at once. In my community, from the trauma of colonialism on our childhoods and on our families, if we even got to have families because colonialism, And then there's all the trauma from the state, especially if you choose resistance. In all of these, there are pathways to addictions. And as a result, I also have people coming in community to tell me their situation and their addiction is completely unique from every other addict. And it's not. If your goal is abolition, your goal is revolution. And if your goal is try to save humanity, you are probably going to fall in love with someone who has witnessed and experienced either in their life by situation or by choice of their resistance, trauma. If the two of you are agreeing to committed relationships, then it is time to discuss how you are going to handle trauma. If you're going to commit to this person and not run away the moment something difficult happens, what are you going to do? The classic Western wedding vows for better or worse. But what does worse mean, and what are you going to do when worse occurs? Is worse beating you up, or are we staying through that? Or are we having a plan when things start to get difficult long before that? What's on the table? Therapy, spiritual guidance, going to an astrologer, individual or community support. In the case of physical issues, like physical health issues, what is the plan? How are we going to handle our finances is as important as how are we going to handle mental health. And if you haven't discussed how you're going to handle mental health, then whatever you think you know about finances could suddenly go completely out the window the moment mental health rears its head. So these are things I want us to just think about when we are thinking about revolutionary relationships. What is the abolitionist path through the difficulties? How can we try new things? I am going to have a video with a friend later. I'm not sure when, but we've been experimenting with a lot of this, and we will talk about that journey at some point later on. I am also going to have Muhammad Abdu back on here from the 3-part series, Islam and Anarchism. My friend has agreed to come back, and we are going to talk about things going on in the world today, and so do look for that. It will come at you in December. We want cards with that, don't we? All right. What is the question? My struggle in finding an abolitionist resolution in my relationships. And remember, your friendships are a mirror to your other relationships. So even if you're single, you do this work in your friendships. And if you're looking for a relationship, that's where you improve what sort of partner you'll be by improving what kind of friend you are. All right. Ace of Wands. You're reactive, and this is something that you struggle to see. You don't listen, you don't hear, you're reactive. All right, number two. Well, it's a 1, 2, 3. Justice. Oh, you really are afraid to hear a criticism of what you did wrong out of a fear that it means you're the bad guy. This right and wrong is really hard for you. You are really struggling with the abolitionist aspect of this. All right, number three, who are you going to be? All right. Whew. The selfishness is where you really struggle with this. So You probably don't recognize where you're not. Cat! The cat is rubbing against the stand. Okay, you probably don't recognize where you're taking and where you're not giving. And hearing that criticism is a real stopper for you in finding resolution. All right, talk to you all later, folks.